Hello everyone, welcome to the day 2 of Frontend Mentor Challenges, and today we are going to create the second project in here or second challenge. So it is called the stats preview and component. And yesterday we created this first project here, order summary component. If you haven't seen that video yet, I will leave the link in the description below. So let's get into this. At first, let's start the challenge. And if you don't know, you need to log in with the GitHub to download the asset. So let's download the starter files. If you have premium access, you can also download the sketch and Figma files, but I don't have that. So it has been downloaded. So let's just extract this in the desktop here. So we got everything like the design for it is the desktop design, desktop preview and mobile design. Okay, they also provided us with some images. So it is the icon, and this is the image header for desktop, and this is the one for the mobile. I actually could not find any differences between these two, so I will just go with this the desktop one. So let's open this up with the Visual Studio Code. Okay, so we have this index.html file they provided us with. So it only got the text but no tags here. So let's clean this up first. We don't need any style tags. Let's leave the title like that. Okay, I will just remove the comment. Now let's create a style file. So style.css. Now we need to link this up with the index.html, so I will just do that. Okay, it is done. Now let's do our markup. So for that we need to see the design, desktop design. So at first we need to create a container which will contain this entire thing. Then we need a wrapper. Maybe we will use the container to make this enter, and then the wrapper which will contain the box here, and we can add some border radius with that to make the corners rounded. Then inside the wrapper we got two elements. At the left side there will be this text box, and at the right there will be this image. So what we can do is they are actually taking 50-50 height, so we can use the grid here, CS grid template. Now in this left box here, all this text here got some padding with top, left, right and bottom. So we can put all these three inside a div. Then inside this div we can put this with an heading tag, then this in a paragraph tag, and for this we can use the flex box. So let's get started with the markup. At first I will create a container div here, and inside this container let's add a wrapper div. So in the wrapper we are going to give the display grid. So now we are going to create two div inside this wrapper. So the first one will be for the text component, and it will contain the title at first. So let's use an is on tag with the class of title. Now let's just cut this and paste it here. After that let's use an paragraph tag with the class of subtitle. Again let's just cut this and paste it here. Now we need to add these items. So for that we can create a div which will contain all these three items, and each of this box will be inside a div. Then we can make this total div a display of flex. So let's create a div with the class of maybe start dash box. Let's create, sorry, it will be div. So inside this div, at the top we need to add the state number, then the name. So let's give this state number a class so that we can style this. Let's use an paragraph tag with the class of number. The first one is 10k plus, and another paragraph tag which will contain the text. Now we can just copy this entire div. Okay, we got 3 divs here. This is the second on, the second on's text, and this is the third on. Okay, we are done with our markup. Let's open this up by the live server extension. So here we go. Let's open the style guide.md, and as it says, the desktop design is created with this 1440 pixels height, but I think I will make it like that and make it a smaller. Okay, this will do. So at first we need to import these 2 fonts here, but let's open this up in the Google Fonts and see the design, desktop design here. So the first font, I think this is the first font, which is the Inter, and it got only, okay, we need to see this style guide. We need the 400 and 700 font weight of this font, and this font will have only 400. Actually it only got this for 400 font weight, but the thing is I saw the design here and I could not match any of this font with this. So let's type this out, get, and as you can see, this T here got some little extension at the bottom, but it is totally straight. And also for the numbers like 10, this 10 doesn't got any extension, but it has this little extension. This is actually a serif font, but they have only used the sans serif here. So we don't need to import this Lexan Deca. So I'll just close this out. But we need to import this Inter font. So 400 and 700 font weight, 400 regular and 700. Okay, now let's import this in our style.css, and we also need to import the font family. Let's just close this and put a body here and paste it. Now the browser has some default margin and padding, so we need to remove that or reset that. So let's make the margin 0 and padding also 0. Also the box sizing, border box. Okay, now there is no padding or margin around this. Okay, now how to do? So we can put all this up and make this center. So let's target the body and give it a minimum height of 100 viewport height. After that we can give this a background color. Actually they have provided us with that background color, the main background. So I'll just copy this and give this a background of this color. Let's save, and it is totally blue. Now we need to make this center. So I will give this body a display of flex, then make it center. So align items will be center. Now let's target the container here. I'll just give this a maximum height of something like 1020 pixels maybe, and let's make it center by giving this a margin of 0 and auto. Now they are in the center. Now let's target the wrapper, and they have also provided us with a background color. This is the cut background, so I'll just copy this and apply it here. So let's give the background color of this one. Now we got this background color. Now let's make the display grid. I actually forgot to do an important thing here. So after finishing this text component, we actually need to include the image here, because as the desktop preview says, we got this image here, so we need to add that in the markup, but I totally forgot that. So let's create a div. Let's give it a class name of image component, and inside this let's add the image, and this is the image we want to import. So here we go. Now let's make the display grid, and we need to apply grid template columns. We need 2 fractions, so each of the things will take on fraction here. So on fraction and on fraction, let's save. Now they're properly aligned in 2 different grid. So then I'll add some border radius with this wrapper to create the corners rounded. So let's do that. Border radius something like 15 pixels. So for the image is actually overflowing this wrapper, so I'll just make the overflow hidden. Now these 2 corners should also be rounded. Let's also give some margin to all around that, so whenever the window size will be smaller, it will be applied. Let's use 2 rem. So whenever it got smaller, it got this nice gap here because of this 2 rem. Okay, but as you can see here, there is a little space in here. If we make it smaller, you can see it perfectly. So what we can do is we can use the object fit cover with that. So let's target the image. So it will have a class of image component and image. Let's make the height of 100%. Now it will partially solve the problem, but we need to take the image to enter height. So for that, what we can do, we can also give the height of 100%, but it actually looks kind of shrinking the image. So we can use the object fit here. Object fit will be cover. Let's save. Now the image in the normal position, normal size. Whenever it got smaller than the image size, the part of the image will be cut off, but it will not look weird. So the image styling is done. Now let's target the. Okay, there is only one thing left here. So as you can see, there is an kind of filter with that image. So there is 2 ways we can do that. We can either add the image as a background. So in that case we cannot use the image here, but let's use the second way. So we can use a pseudo element like before or after and put that pseudo element after this image here. So let's do that. Let's target the image container and after. So we need to position it relative to the main image component. So we need to give the image component a position of relative. Now we can give this a position of absolute. Also we need to give this a content of the blank. Now let's give this a height of 100%, also the height of 100%. From left it will be 0, from top it will be also 0. Now let's give it a background color. So I think the background color of it is provided in here. So let's go with this dark saturated blue here. Let's just copy this and paste it here. Okay, but the thing is it is totally overflowing the entire image. So we can either add a opacity to like something 0.5. Now it is visible. Actually I don't think it is dark saturated blue, so I'll just go with the soft violet and stick. Now let's try this out, and now it is similar to the design we have here. So let's increase the opacity a little bit, or okay, let's increase this to like 0.6. Now it is better. Although there is another way, we don't need to add the opacity like that. So this HSL has another, we can add another value here which will be the opacity. So in that case it will be A, and we can add it as a point, so the value will be from 0 to 1. Now in this case we have given this opacity of 0.6, so it will be 0.6. Now we can delete the opacity. Now it is applied. So the image looks fine. Now let's move on to the text component here. So text component, and let's add the padding at first. I will apply an percentage value, something like 13 pixels. Okay, let's try 13 pixels, or maybe okay, let's leave it like 13 pixels. And after that let's target the title, and for the title we got a color which is actually white. We can use the triple F or white. Also we can get it from here, the main heading and the states. So let's just copy this and paste it here. But the inside here got the color of the violet color, so we can put this inside an span tag and style this span tag. So let's cut the insides and paste it inside the span. Now we can add title, span, and give this the color. Okay, how it is. I'll just grab this from here, but in this case we need to remove the A, so it is the soft violet color. Let's save, and now we got the similar color effect. Now for the title, let's make the font weight to 700. We have imported the 700 font weight here, 400 and 700. Also let's add some padding at the bottom. something like 22 pixels. It will have some nice gap. After that, let's target the subtitle. Okay, for the body it got the font size of 15 pixels, so we need to specify that. So let's make the font size to 15 pixels. Now for the subtitle, let's give this the color which we can get from here. Main paragraph, so this one. We can also add a line height, because as you can see in the desktop preview, it is slightly more spread between these lines. There is slightly more gap between the lines, so I will just add a line height here. Something like on 0.7 or maybe 8. Okay, it looks better. Now let's target the state box. They got the class of stat box, and we need to give this a display of flex. Now they are aligned like this, so we need to create this gap between this state box here. So we need to do justify content and space between. There will be maximum amount of gap between these boxes here. Now let's target, and also as you can see in the design, all the text here is uppercase, so you can use the text transform uppercase. Okay, text transform uppercase. Now all of these things are in uppercase. Now let's target the stat box and the P with the class of num, which will be this here. So let's change the color, which will be totally white. It got the same color as the title, so I'll just grab this from here. Also, let's increase the font size to 25 pixels. Also the font weight will be bold, so 700. And with the state box, let's also add some padding with the top here, like 60 pixels. Now it looks fine. Now we need to target the text. So state box and paragraph text, let's add the color, which will be normal paragraph color. This is the state heading, so I'll just grab this and paste it here. Now if you want, you can also create some gap between the text here, just a little bit. So margin bottom something like 5 pixels. It looks fine, but let's try with 7 pixels, a little bit more. Okay, I think the styling is done for this viewport size. So now let's open this up, the inspector tool. Looks fine. Okay, now it has turned ugly. So the problem here appears when the display size gets smaller than the 768 pixels. So I will add a styling with this 716 pixels, but before that, as it shows the mobile display for 375 pixels. So let's style for that viewport first. So this is the 425. Let's start with this. So let's add a media query. Media only screen and max height of 425 pixels. So now we need to see it before we do anything. So all the text here are in the center for mobile display. So we can actually target the body here and make the text align to the center, and we need to break up this grid system. So we have applied the grid system with the wrapper. So I will just make the grid template columns something like on fraction, but as you can see here the image is at the top and the text box or the text component appears second. So we can actually do that pretty easily by using the order. So let's target the image component, and by default all the items or elements got an order of on. So the lower the order is, the component appear first. So if we give this image component a order of -1, it will appear first. So it is here. Now what do we need to do? Okay, the text component got pretty much large gap between these things. So I will just target the text component and decrease the padding to 8%. It's better. And for the state box we need to make the display something different than the flags because they appear in after each other. Also we can keep it like this. So let's try flex direction column. Now they will appear after each other, but in this case we need to create some gap between these divs here. So let's target the stat box, then div, let's add some margin at the top like 20 pixels. Okay, for the text component, for the left and right the padding is right, but there is only a small padding at the bottom. We actually don't need that, so I'll just comment this out. Okay, for top to bottom let's go back to 12%, and from left to right let's keep it 8%. Now we got some nice gap, and the state box has lots of gap, so I will just make the padding at the top. So let's see, state box, okay, padding top was 60 pixels. I will make this half, so 30 pixels. It looks better. Also if you want to change the font size you can also do that. So let's decrease the font size of the title a little bit. It is actually very much bigger. So let's target the title and make the font size, I don't know, I think it was okay, it was 20. Actually we don't have any size for the title, so I'll just decrease this a little bit, maybe 18 pixels. That will be too small. Let's try 22. Okay, it's fine. Let's try 20. Okay, I'm just going to 23 and add a line height here. Okay, it is better, but let's do 1.4 and leave this like that. So now everything is fine for this viewport height, which will be less than 425 pixels, but between these two breakpoint 425 and this 768, it is looking totally bad, so we need to add some viewport inside that. So let's do that. Media query, not this, media only, scan and max height. So in this case the maximum height will be 768 pixels, which is this one, 768 pixels, and minimum height will be after this, so 426. Okay, in between this we need to change some stylings. Now it looks like this. Now we need to solve that. At first let's target the body here and make the font size to something smaller, like 12 pixels. After that let's target the text component and decrease the padding. So let's try 12%. It was 15% maybe. Okay, it was 13%. We made this 12%, and if it doesn't work we need to decrease this a little bit more. So after the text component let's target the title here and font size 22 pixels. Okay, let's target the state box, and there is lots of padding top, so I'll just make it to the half, padding at the top to 30 pixels. Now let's target the state box, paragraph text with the number, and make the font size to maybe 17 pixels. It is still too much. But for 768 pixels it looks good. So let's keep this like that, so it looks fine. Okay, I think we are done with this project, and I will upload this entire project into the Codepen, and if you want to see that I will leave the link in the description below, so you can go and check that out. Also, if you want to create the same project and share that with me, please upload that in the Codepen and share the link in the comment below. I will go and check that out. So thank you very much for watching this far, and in the next day we are going to create this 3-column preview card component. So if you are not subscribed yet, please don't forget to subscribe, and if you like this video, please give this video a thumbs up. Thank you everyone, take care and goodbye. See you tomorrow in the next project.